the news.
Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Jesse Morgan, your host, and welcome to another episode of What in the Paranormal? Well, with winter starting to recede in many places, sort of, it's that time again where new shows are coming out. A lot of us are going to be heading out to the field to start doing our own investigating, whether that's Bigfoot, going out and spending time looking up in the sky for UFOs, spending time in some of those abandoned places. And with that, according to the Travel Channel, the hit series Expedition Bigfoot is premiering its new season on Sunday, March 20th. Of course, this is on the Travel Channel and Discovery Plus. They're going to kick off the show with something very cool. They're actually going to have an interview with primatologist Jane Goodall. I think that's awesome, regardless of opinions on how Expedition executes its research. I think most people have a formed, solid opinion. I'd be curious to know what that is about either the individual players on Expedition Bigfoot or the TV show in general. You have some stronger personalities. Bryce Johnson, who has typically, he's an actor, he's a producer, and he did host a popular podcast, Bigfoot Collectors Club, as well. But there's also Dr. Myra Mayer. She's a primatologist herself. And there's Russell Accord. He's billed as a survivalist, and he also has published a couple books. And Ronnie LeBlanc. He's basically a well-known figure in the world of paranormal, your Bigfoot and your UFOs and such. March 20th, a new season comes out. We'll try and keep an eye on that and kind of see how that goes, where it goes. So I know we hear a lot about the government, potential government cover-ups, and UFOs. And there's also, if you didn't know this, there are rumors that possibly the government is also hiding evidence of Bigfoot existing. Well, what I didn't know is there is actually an FBI record on file, and it is about 40 years old. And I thought this was pretty cool. The FBI has had a file on Bigfoot since 1976. And the reason why is Peter Byrne, who was the director of the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition in the Dallas, Oregon area, sent the FBI about 15 hairs attached to a small piece of flesh or a small piece of skin, and asking the FBI to essentially analyze this hair. And he also inquired about, did they have anything currently on file that was Bigfoot or Bigfoot related. So what's very cool is the FBI actually ended up analyzing this essentially as a favor, because typically the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, they're going to focus on criminal cases. They're brought in on missing person cases, things of that nature. So the fact that the FBI took the time to analyze this hair is actually really, really cool. Peter Byrne was out of the United States at the time, so they actually sent this, the results of this, to an organization that was associated with him and his organization. And you got to look back. This is 1976. There weren't a lot of, if you will, well-known, prominent Bigfoot researchers at the time. We can go back about a decade, 1967, and talk about Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin, and of course their famous Bigfoot footage, the Patterson-Gimlin film from 1967. You've got Peter Byrne. He sends this out. He gets a response of it being analyzed, and it turns out that particular sample was from a deer. Not what they had hoped for, maybe not even what they were expecting. But at the end of the day, it's still a good thing that Peter Byrne took the time to send this in and took a chance that the FBI would analyze it. 40 years later now, the FBI has released the documents that they had on file. And at the end of the day, it's just a really cool thing. The FBI took the time, to help out someone doing some Bigfoot research. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit now. We've talked about Bigfoot a little bit. Now I want to go back to another one of my favorites, UFOs, and specifically UFOs, Germany, World War II, and a UFO crash. In 1936, a spaceship, or flying saucer, if you will, allegedly crashed in the Black Forest. And this kind of gave the opportunity, or opened the door for German technology. And allegedly this spaceship that crashed in 1936, its occupants were taken away and hidden somewhere deep in the heart of Nazi Germany, and it was dismantled and studied at that point. This program, Haunebu, this kind of tied also, this is one of those dangerous rabbit holes I'm going to try to avoid, but now we start talking about Nazis, underground UFO bases, Antarctica, you know, it just gets kind of crazy from there. But if we kind of go forward a little bit, World War II has ended, and, you know, a lot of those German scientists were actually taken here to the United States, and, you know, so they could share their knowledge and everything. That, I believe, was, at the time, was Operation Paperclip. So one of the other things is that, you know, when those scientists came here to share their knowledge, and we do know for a fact that a lot of that occurred and led to a lot of advancements here in the United States, including the atom bomb as well. One of the other places that they were supposedly secreted away to, these pieces of this alien technology, it wasn't just Antarctica, it was also South America, the United States, and here's where it gets a little bit too crazy for me, even the moon as well. You know, a lot of this stuff though started around 1950. Okay, so you know, that's very, very interesting. There were not just engine development, but also these craft and how they would fly. There's actual authentic video in the United States of testing of an actual saucer-shaped ship. Supposedly, the Germans were sharing some of this technology with the Axis powers. Supposedly, in the 1950s, the Russians and Americans secretly landed on the moon, and they stayed at what allegedly is a still operating base on the moon as of today. At the end of the war, you know, the Nazis are defeated. There's a society that supposedly took some of this technology and retreated to Antarctica, and they have vanished. So, as with a lot of the stuff that revolves around World War II, alien aircraft crashes, UFO technology, there's a lot of conjecture, theory, you know, just stories made up about it. But at the same time, that's what also makes it incredibly interesting. And the challenge is to go through all that information, find that shred of truth, that little nugget of truth, and try and take that and find out what really happened. We know that the Germans, technology-wise, were very advanced. How did they get to that point? You know, what gave them that incredible knowledge edge to create these flying vehicles? Then we start talking about hidden away technology, supposed plans that have been handed to a variety of different people, and now no one can find them anywhere. There's also scientists that supposedly we've never talked about that came here with even other more amazing technology, UFO technology, to be reverse engineered and studied. So again, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out for a little bit, talking about Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, World War II, Nazis. And with that, I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, for What in the Paranormal?